Hey, welcome to Think Thursday from the Alcohol Minimalist Podcast. Think Thursday is all about your beautiful, brilliant human brain. We're talking neuroscience. We're talking behavior change. We are talking about your mindset. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Well, hello, and welcome to Think Thursday from the Alcohol Minimalist Podcast. This is where we take a short, focused dive into the science of behavior change, habit formation, and your mindset. These Thursday episodes are really designed to give you that little nudge of neuroscience and perspective and something to think about that helps you keep building a life with more peace and less autopilot, really. Today, we are talking about something that every human experiences and often misinterprets, and that is discomfort. Most people treat discomfort like a red flag, like something has gone wrong, that it is a reason to stop doing what you're doing and back off. And that's normal, right? That's a reasonable response. But here's the truth: discomfort isn't necessarily a red flag, it is a signal, it is a signpost that change is happening. And it's really an indicator that it's time to get curious. So let's break it down a little. Let's start with this. It is not your whole brain that resists change or is, upset or uh, red flags discomfort. It is your lower brain, the most primitive part of the brain that is responsible for really keeping you alive. And this part includes structures like the amygdala, the basal ganglia, and it evolved long before we had language, logic, or long term goals. And your lower brain operates on survival instincts. You've heard me talk about this before. It wants to avoid pain, seek pleasure, and conserve energy. It's known as the motivational triad. And I've talked about that before here on the podcast. And that's really what the lower brain is focused on. It's the part of your brain, the part of you that says that this is uncomfortable, let's not do it. Or we've never done this before, this is dangerous. When discomfort shows up, whether you're speaking up, trying something new, or sitting with an unfamiliar feeling, it's your lower brain that interprets that as a problem. Not because anything is wrong, but simply because it's different. And that's important to recognize. Discomfort doesn't mean you're unsafe. It means your lower brain is doing its job. But that job is based on outdated wiring. The good news is that you also have a higher brain, your logical prefrontal cortex that we talk about all the time, that's capable of overriding those primitive alerts, but only if you recognize what's happening. Discomfort isn't a sign to stop, it's a sign to check in. Is this discomfort because I'm in danger or because I'm growing? Dr. Andrew Huberman, I mentioned him last week. I've talked about his work here on Think Thursday. He is a neuroscientist at Stanford, and he has talked about friction in the learning process, that it's not only normal, it's necessary. When you feel resistance, when something feels awkward or mentally tiring, that's not a sign of failure. That's evidence that your brain is actively engaged in building something new. And that makes sense, right? Think about building muscle. You don't get stronger by staying comfortable. You get stronger by creating controlled resistance. And it's the same with your brain. When you're learning a new habit or a way of thinking, you're literally rewiring neural pathways. And that takes energy. It takes emotional effort. It feels like friction. But that's not a flaw in the process. That is the process. So the next time you feel discomfort, like, ugh, this is hard, know that you're not regressing. You're actually making progress biologically. And building on that, I want to remind you about the work from Dr. Joe Boaler, who's also at Stanford and the author of The Limitless Mind, a book that I reviewed in an interview or a podcast, that episode that I did quite a long time ago, which I'll link in the show notes. And Dr. Boaler studies how we learn and what helps the brain grow. And she's very clear that struggle is productive. Her research shows that our brains are most active not when we get things right, but when we make mistakes, when we feel challenged and we keep going anyway. That awkwardness you feel when you're learning something new, that's not a signal that you're failing. It's a signal that your brain is building. Joe Boaler says struggle is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that your brain is in the process of forming new connections. And when you stay engaged through the discomfort, rather than shutting down or backing off, you actually accelerate your own neuroplasticity. This is what I often say. The goal isn't to feel confident first. The goal is to do the work while you feel uncomfortable, and the confidence will follow. So, how do we move through discomfort without getting stuck in fear or self doubt? Well, first, we don't resist it, right? We allow that discomfort to be there. We don't necessarily rush to fix it. We allow discomfort to be there, and we don't try to get ourselves to feel immediately better or to feel different. Instead, we get curious. We ask ourselves questions. What feels hard right now? What am I telling myself about this discomfort? What would I do differently if I knew that this feeling was normal? Curiosity opens up the space between emotion and your response. It's not about judging or controlling, it's about noticing. And that noticing is what activates your higher brain and builds the skills of resilience. So here's your Think Thursday takeaway. Discomfort isn't a red flag. It's a signal to stay curious. It means your brain is being asked to grow, and while your lower brain might resist, your higher brain is ready. The more you lean into discomfort with awareness and compassion, the more you'll discover. Change isn't something you force, it's something you allow. Thanks for thinking with me today. And if this sparked something for you, I would love for you to share it with a friend or leave a review. Whenever you leave a review, it helps our message here at Alcohol Minimalist reach more people. And so you're doing something good for somebody else. Until next time, my friends, stay curious, choose peace, and I will see you on Monday.